it's interesting that you wanted to be careful not to be too nostalgic about it. Why?
Well, because that's what we always get accused of, right? People who leave their countries, who are now part of a diaspora outside of it, you know, and to be honest, I think nostalgia is our trait. It was certainly what kept my parents going, because they were always reminiscing about this Haiti that was both, you know, paradise, and then they would say, but don't go, it's scary at the same time. So it's, I wanted to first of all be close to the present and the way that the town was represented, because they were dealing with some very contemporary and current issues in the town. But I didn't want to just say, oh, this is kind of this beautiful little town, like a postcard kind of town.
Right. I mean, that's really the balance for the immigrant, isn't it? To hold on to what was meaningful about the place that you left, but to also be fully engaged in the place that you've come to and not idealize that place that you left behind.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's a very long process, and I've seen it sometimes take decades, even within certain families, for people to first let go of a certain way of seeing a place, to realize that that without them the place has been going. I think it's sort of the dream, or maybe the fantasy of someone who's left, to think that I'm going to go back and I'm going to know all the streets. For example, my father really resisted going back to Haiti. He didn't go back for maybe 27 years. And I would always, when I was going, I would say, oh, why don't you come with me? He would say, well, I won't know any of the streets, So that was a big problem for him, that the place had changed without him, and it was very painful. So I think even accepting that process of change, letting go of that vision of the past, which at the same time helps people survive some of the difficult situations that they meet in migration. But it's a process, it's an ongoing process of letting go of that vision of how a place used to be, and then really coming to terms with what it has become, for better or for worse.
Yeah, you really didn't have to worry about that when you were going back to the land that your parents had come from. I mean, you'd had their stories, but it wasn't like you were going to confront something totally different than what you'd held in your memories, right?
Oh, actually, the opposite, actually, because the place was changing so fast. And I think, so from the time that I left Haiti in 1981, then, you know, I left during the dictatorship, the latter part. So the dictatorship had ended in 1986. There had been all these juntas in between. And then there was the first democratically elected government in 1990, and then there was a coup, and I remember one of the first times I went was to work with some filmmakers on the documentary that was supposed to trace all of these changes. So I think for, you know, every time, you know, it's a place with such fluidity, and just things change rather quickly. You know, there's an expression that says Haiti Sept glissé, it's slippery ground. So it's a place where that's now literally slippery ground with the fault lines and things that we've discovered, but also that just changes. So it's every time I would go back, it would be encountering a new place, and I think the dilemma or the challenge of the immigrant person is to accept that place and to acknowledge that the place keeps changing, and to address it each time you come the way it is, and to adjust yourself and not demand of the place that it just, you know, accommodates you.